Right, just before we crack on with this episode, just a quick word about our sponsor, KS Civils and Groundworks Limited, based in Leeds. They have over 296 years of combined experience in civil engineering and groundworks. Led by Director Carl Smith, their team is known for honesty, reliability and commitment to the highest safety and quality standards. They're proudly ISO accredited and fully CHAS Elite accredited. No matter the size of your project, KS Civils and Groundworks delivers professional, trustworthy service you can rely on. To learn more, visit kscivilsandgroundworks.co.uk. Now let's dive back into this episode. Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Tonight I've got Ian Bailey on. Now, Ian served with the Royal Signals and later on transferred to the Royal Anglians. Ian joined up in 1984 and left the military in 1989. He's got a hell of a story from the snippets he's told me already, mainly what happens to you after the military and things can go a bit wrong. Welcome to the podcast, Ian. Thanks for coming on, mate. I really appreciate it. I know we've been going backwards and forwards trying to, get time with each other as well. So I do appreciate you, taking time out of your life to actually come on and be a guest on the podcast. So it's the same 5 questions that I ask everybody. So where did you grow up? Why did you join the military? What was it like? Why did you leave? And what have you done since? And I think that's where we're going to get the meat of your story, really.
There's a bit.
Yeah. So if you just want to start off by giving us a bit of a background of, where you grew up, what it was like growing up, and what made you decide to join the military.
Right, I was brought up in Corby, Northants. I was brought up by my stepdad at 6 months old, and my mum. Her and my dad split up when I was 2. Just after I was born, they split up. So from 6 months, I was brought up with a stepdad. Schooling was pretty bad. I was bullied all the time. I'm quite short, to be honest. I left school at 4'10", so you can imagine how short I was. I'm a giant now at 5'3". Do you know what I mean? Compared to what I was like, but I was 4'10" in the senior school, 4'11", and I was bullied every day. From junior school to senior school. I didn't have a lot. It was quite tough upbringing. It was quite challenging. My stepdad wasn't the best person. Used to knock me about quite a lot. There was one incident he actually lifted me off the floor by one hand, and I was choking. Mum was screaming to let me go, and it was blue. But it was quite physical. So school was a battle. I tried to use school as an escape as well from home sometimes. Because you dread going home. What mood mum and dad were in. I think my mum she sort of appeased him a bit, a lot, and because she had 2 kids after me to him, so she tried to keep that unity and keep the family together, but so she sort of appeased his behaviour. Yeah, school.
Was he better with the other kids than he was with you?
Sorry,
was he better with the other kids than he was with you?
It was definitely better with his own kids. Yeah, they didn't get hit. I got hit a lot, but they didn't. So school was really bad. I was basically crap at everything, because I had no confidence. I was crap at every sport. Never got any teams for anything. Never got picked for anything. If I was picked, I was the last one, and the 2 teams would argue who wasn't having me. I was that bad, right? And my stepdad said he'd been in the Paras, right? So for me to try and make him like me, so I joined the Army Cadets, and when I was 13, and I sort of went up to a sergeant, and that was, obviously it was like having that being bullied all the time. That was my little bit of power, if you know what I mean. And but as soon as I left Army Cadets, it was back to square one. So I did the Army Cadets, and then when I was 15, a friend of mine who was in the Army Cadets, he mentioned about boxing. He went boxing, so I asked him if I could go. So I went started boxing when I was 15.
I take it the boxing, did that help with your confidence and everything as well?
At the time, I loved the fitness. I used to run to the gym. I was probably 3.5 miles, train and run back. And there was rules, in box. There was nobody was taking advantage of you when you were sparring and all that stuff. So it was like a safe place, there's a good bond in the boxing gym. So I started boxing when I was 15, and I've been in the Army Cadets a couple of years then, and then I wanted to go in the Army. So that's how life was to start. As a kid, it wasn't good. I didn't get a lot. If I got anything, it was from somebody, from a neighbor, clothes and stuff like that. So it was pretty tough.
So you joining the military is, not just a job. It's you getting away from that sad life, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So at 17, I wanted to go in the Army. That was, it was a bit of an escape from home as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I was trying to make people proud. And so at 17, I went to the Army Careers Office. Me and a friend, and he was 6'2", and I was like 2'4", and they said, "You're too short. You're all right." So I think he said I had to be 5 foot or something like that. And I went home, measured myself, went back, says, "I'm 5 foot." He goes, "No, you're not." And this happened about 5 or 6 times. Careers Office kept shooting me off, and then they actually got sick of me. And they said, "Right." So right, you won. Okay, so went through the process, went to selection centre, and I was super fit. I was super fit. When I knew I wouldn't get in the paras, I knew I wouldn't because I physically wasn't strong enough. But when we were in Sutton Coldfield, they said, "Anybody want to go para? Stand up." There was about 100 guys, and I stood up. There was 6 out of 100 guys. So you get a high vid, and you have to do double what everybody else did. And I was the only one to pass the fitness, and I never got it right. And they did 2 miles in 12 minutes. You had to lift me onto the beam to do the heaves because I couldn't jump up. I was that short. It was quite comical, really. The army of the future, we can't even jump on a beam. And so I did all my tests and that, and they offered me Royal Signals, and I joined 2 weeks before I was 18.
So was that like junior leaders type of thing?
No, it was regs.
Straight into straight into the regs.
Yeah.
So what trade did you get?
I was radio relay.
I think that's what my brother did.
Yeah, radio relay.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what my brother was. Yeah, I had a brother in the engineers and one in the Royal Signals, and he was Rebro. Yeah.
Just a quick one. It's really echoey.
It sounds fine at this end.
Right, your end, it's really echoey, mate. So sorry.
It's all right. The software will sort it out afterwards because it does echo cancellation. Right, what time was that?
Yeah, so I went to Helly's Barracks. That's where Royal Signals did their basic training, and I think I passed out on in September of '84.
So what was training like for you? I mean, I've had lots of guys on who've been, they were in cadets before they joined the military, and it helped them. Did you find that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like a new family type thing. It's like everybody helped each other. You're motivated to be better than everybody else as well. You have to work as a team, but also you got to think about yourself and try, be the best basically. And I think fitness wise, I was at least top 2 fitness wise. There was another guy that was in basic with he got best recruit, Ian Good, but between me and him, we were fitness wise, I think we were the best.
So no one had a go at you because of your height or anything like that? There was no bullying during training?
No. Actually, no, I didn't find any of that. I got the piss taken out of me, but that's part and parcel of it. But I didn't, I took it on the chin like everybody else does. We all go through it. It's part of
bit of banter, I suppose, isn't it, really? Yeah. So I mean, from basic training and then onto your trade training.
Yeah, I went to Vimy Barracks.
And how did that? How was that?
Yeah, it's like chalk and cheese from Hellies. We're getting beasted every day, and then suddenly you go Vimy Barracks, and it's just all classwork and that. But yeah, and then I got sent to Fordiv in Hereford. That was my first post. I was straight in the boxing team. I'll tell you, I mentioned this. Obviously, they know about you before you get there, and they knew I was a boxer. And there's always a regimental superstar, and and I couldn't fight in the street. I'd never had a street fight. I couldn't. I wouldn't say boo to anybody. But boxing is rules in the ring, And I don't know whether I should mention his name really, but anyway, this regimental superstar, he was the same weight as me, and I heard I was coming, right? And he had no front teeth, all these tattoos in his arm, right? And I got to the unit, and he came over to me. I heard you're a boxer, he was Scottish, really. And I was like shitting myself, like that. I said, yeah. He goes, he wanted to fight with me there and then. I was going, no, 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 like this, right? And I was a right shit bag. I couldn't, and then we had to fight each other into squadron. I hit him with a left hook and put him in his arse in the first round, and then he never come near me the whole fight. But after that, we were like that, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's a good introduction to your regiment, isn't it?
Yeah. And I remember.
I mean, I've always said that, a lot of people have said that they find it as just as daunting going to the first unit out of training as it was like actually joining the army.
Yeah.
I know I didn't know what to expect really, especially going out to Germany. I mean, it was the same. First post in Germany, never been outside the country before, so it was all
I hadn't
new.
either. I hadn't been anywhere, so it was all new to me. And I remember I didn't really go out. I didn't drink. I didn't go out, and I was sat in my room one night, and all the lads banged on my door and said, "This guy, I don't mention his name, had a kicking in Germany from Germans." I thought, what are they telling me for? You have to go, don't you?
Yeah.
So I went to town. I'm shaking because I don't know what to do. And they pointed out this bloody German. And, that's him. The smudge he was slumped in the toilet with blood all this. This German had beat him up. And there he goes, that's him over there. And I'm like, what are they telling me for? I'm 2 for nothing. But you have to do it. So that was my first street fight then. So every time there was a bit of trouble, they banged my door. I didn't go next time. I just did the one.
So what did you make of Germany then?
I didn't like Germany. I mean, it was immaculate, beautiful, clean. I didn't like it, to be honest. And then I think it was probably one of the reasons why I transferred. But I was in the boxing team in Ford, and I boxed there. I was the only one in the Royal Corps Signals to box in individual championship. So I boxed the BO. I lost in the final. I boxed in the Olympic Stadium in Berlin. And then I boxed the Army Championships in Aldershot, and I lost to the same guy. I don't know what his name is to this day. But, I was a tracksuit soldier for a good bit.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
So what did make you transfer then?
Well, all my friends from Corby, that was our local regiment, Royal Anglian, and most of them were in there. And I think it was, because you don't think rationally when you're young, do you? It's like,
No.
You think on the whim, and, it's a bit of bravado. Oh, I want to go infantry type thing, This is honest to God's truth what happened, right? So I said I wanted to transfer, and went through the process, had the interviews, all that stuff, blah, blah, and they wanted me. And packed all my stuff, boxing team gave me a trophy, all that stuff, and, said my goodbyes. I flew to Basimont, went to Colchester, and went to the barracks, and there was nobody there, just a rear party. I was like looking around, I says, where is it? I says, they're in South. I'm up.
Yeah, so when you said that you were going back, something had happened that was massive before you transferred. I mean, what was that about?
Yeah, 1980. I'm a Liverpool fan. I've supported Liverpool all my life. They're my team. And, obviously Liverpool playing Juventus at the Heysel Stadium in Brussels, right? And me and 3 of the lads, they were saying, oh, should we go? Like that. We didn't have tickets, right? And, I thought, wow, European Cup. I'd only ever seen Liverpool play once. That was at Wembley against Man U. I said, yeah, we'll go, we'll try and get a ticket. So we had a Union Jack on the bonnet of the car, Ford Cortina, drove through Holland into Belgium. Outside we got tickets, and we went into the stadium, and it was just like a dream. And then there was just a vibe that wasn't right, and then obviously it started kicking off, and I was literally about I was actually sat on the top wall to start with, and I couldn't see, and I fell into the crowd, and then when it started kicking off, we must have been about 40 meters from the wall, right?
Jesus.
Probably closer than that, to be honest. Do you know, I was young. I was 19 then, and you don't quite fathom what's going on. Do you know what I mean? You saw people on the pitch, and it was bad news. You know what I mean? And I remember there was one moment where he looked in his 60s. This man, he carried him past me, all his arms and his leg, carried him past me, and I just caught his eye as he looked. He wasn't looking at me, but his eye was looking at me. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
yeah, it was manic, crazy. I mean, I feel guilty now because I didn't try and help more. You know what I mean? You know, but you're young.
I mean, you're young and you're in shock as
Yeah,
well. You know, if you train for anything like that. And I remember I watching it on the news. It was just Jesus.
and the thing about it was, I'm shaking thinking about it. You know what I mean? It's tough to talk about, but I just want to get everything out because it culminates to my behaviour years later. Yeah, we were all gobsmacked. You know, we went to the European Cup final, and the thing about it was, when they were announcing deaths, but they announced it in Italian, so we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know people had died. We thought we saw the mayhem, but we didn't realise, you know. And the more they were announcing it in Italian, the more they were getting angry. You know, and so anyway, the game went ahead, and there was armoured vehicles outside the stadium, army vehicles, you know, Belgian army vehicles outside the stadium and all that stuff, right? And we left 10 minutes before the end. We thought it, you know, could go off. Never forget it. So we went on the motorway, and there must have been about 60 ambulances parked in the lay-by on the motorway, like waiting, just blue lights, just parked there waiting like that. So my mum had rang the barracks up probably 12, 13 times. No mobile phones then, was there? You know, they said, well, yeah, we know they've gone. They're not back here. They're not back here like that. And then eventually we got back. The next day, OC called us in the office and, you know, said, are you involved? We said, no. Said, are you all right? Said, yeah. And that was it. And so I think that was one of the reasons as well. I transferred. I had it easy in the signal. A tracksuit soldier. I was boxing all the time. I was the only one in the corps. The rope, you know.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I got to Colchester, and they were in South Hamar, and I was going the next day. That's what they said to me. I didn't know at the time. So I'd literally gone from one extreme to the other. And on that tour, we lost three on that tour, 2 different incidents. So yeah, it was tough.
Saying that's a bit of a flash to bang, isn't it? I mean, you wouldn't have had no pre-deployment training, anything like that.
We went to Tin City. We had that. You know what I mean? We did all that stuff. But I was Royal Signal. I know we do we do infantry training in the signals, but it's not infantry, is it?
Yeah.
So
no,
I
it's
was
nothing
straight
like
out.
that.
And the funny thing was, he stuck me in the ops room to start with. Right. I said, I've just fucking left the signals. You know, it just, so right, you want to get it, straight out on an OP. And that was it, really. My first patrol was to a place called Silverbridge. And there was wording in this plot of grass about son was not a murderer and all that stuff. And yeah, it was shocking.
Certainly a big eye opener for you, that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think when it was. You know, obviously we lost a couple of guys. We lost 3 guys. One officer and two guys. And it was tough. It's tough to, you know, tough.
Yeah.
Well, you just think you're on a same. I mean, people brush off the fact that guys go on tour. Well, that's your job. Well, imagine going to your work, and every day you go to work for 6 months. You know, somebody wants to kill you. You know what I mean? That's what it is, isn't it?
It is.
So it's not
to explain to some, to explain to some people, they just, you know, I'll say to the guys at work, and I don't know, I've been here, been there, and they don't understand. You know, they don't understand. But I mean, we don't. When you think back as well, when you're there doing that, you don't kind of think of the danger while you're there. Really, you just do it. It's afterwards when you think about it. You think, shit, yeah. And that's the training. Yeah, that's what you got to do.
Well, I was 20 then, and I was still young, but younger than 20.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying I looked at it as a game, but it wasn't real to me. Do you know what I mean? It was.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
I was just, it was like exercise in my head. I just, because I was naive, you know, and I didn't, and even though we were losing people, it doesn't register until you're older.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I came home, obviously we were home a day, and then we went home and leave 6 weeks. Mum said it was totally different. So I had probably 90 trophies for different boxing, running, all that stuff. I'd accrued over, you know, from 15, and I went outside, smashed them all, put my fist through the front door window. You know, they'd never ever seen me like that. I was like, you know, I wouldn't blow a feather over. You know, before I was headbutting lampposts. It was just, you know, out of control. So I think that's when the fighting started, really. after that. Start drinking as well and gambling. But
Yeah.
I was just touching on it really. Wasn't
So you were after a release. You were after something to take your mind away from the thoughts that you were on.
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking of an escape. Just that was my behaviour. I mean, I wasn't thinking, so I need to get rid of that. It didn't even cross my mind. I never spoke to anybody about high soul. It's only the past, probably 6-7 years I've sort of like started talking about it. It's hard to bring it up in a subject in a chat.
Yeah, I mean that's why I do these type of things. The podcasters, it does allow people to talk about it, and I've found that another good thing is like social media. People can share their stories, like on TikTok and stuff like that, and it'll resonate with somebody else. But it's allowing people to actually talk about it.
Yeah,
and as we know, talking is the best.
definitely.
It's not the solution,
Yeah.
but it's a good way towards it. So I mean, turning up with the battalion with the Anglians, them knowing you were an ex-scaly bag, how did they treat you?
Oh, they didn't give a shit.
No,
No.
they'd have ripped into you.
No. I mean, because I knew, quite a few of them from home. So, that's when I think that's when my army career went downhill. After that, really, after Ireland, I went absent. Probably about 9 months later, went absent for actually came back, and they all told me to go home. There's me and I won't mention his name. We were absent together, but I didn't know those things were going on in my head. I just thought it was me, and we came back, and I'll never forget it. It was winter, and we hitchhiked back to Colchester. And we got to the barracks, sneak, got through the gate, walked through, and went up to our billet, and we were saying, "Don't fucking come back, go home." They said it's horrible here, so we both turned around and went home again. So,
Yeah, so that's one thing we have in common. I did a bit of AWOL as well. I was away nearly a year, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then got caught because I was drunk.
Yeah.
The police.
Yeah, I handed myself in eventually. And the horrible thing was I hated Germany, and they were getting posted to Germany for 5 years. So that was a nail in the coffin for me. We were going to Celle for 5 years. So I went to Basenborn. I was there for a year, and that was me. And that's
So
when
it was your choice.
That's when it all went downhill.
How rapidly did it go downhill? And do you think the transition out of the military, or wasn't there? Were you just gone to didn't give a shit type of thing?
Yeah, that was it.
Or did that play a big part in what was to come as well?
No, I don't think that played any part of it. I just think the seeds were planted, and they built obviously the traumatic incidents that I had. I think that was there, and that was the start of the self-destruction, basically.
So how did that start then?
Sorry?
How did it start? What was what ignited you to?
I was drinking a lot. I was fighting. It was like chalk and cheese to look at somebody at school, and then I'd fight anybody. I had a chip. I think I had a massive chip on my shoulder. I was doing a lot of boxing, and I started getting a little bit of a reputation. I mean, some of the scenarios I could tell you what fighting wise what I did. I mean, the problem in my life now, I hate myself. I live with guilt every day, and I'm just constantly beating myself. My partner says, "Look, what you've done since." But, I think if you don't feel remorse for what you've done, I think it's an easy way out. So
But you've got to come to terms with it for yourself. Otherwise, it'll just eat away at you.
So I think when I come out of the gambling really took a hold, and the fighting and the drink. I went to a nightclub one night, and and I was a school shitbag. A lot of lads came up to me, and nobody called me. My nickname was Bomber, so everybody called me Bomber. I said, Bomber, will you do us a favour? I said, what? I said, will you chin this guy for me? I said, fuck off. I said, I'll give you a tenner. I said, right, where is he? That's what I did. I followed him to the toilet. Apparently it was a court case, and he was going to court and all that stuff, and he was down there doing a piss. So I stood next to him, and I says, you're going to court soon, mate. And he says, yeah. How do you know about that? I said, no, you're not. And I smashed him. It's disgusting. Absolute. I think, I had loads of anger. And
And that's how it's manifested itself, yeah. So, I mean, you were battling demons then anyway, really, aren't you?
Yeah. So that, do you know,
Probably without realising it, you wouldn't have realised it.
yeah, and then one of my friends said, should we go and work in Butlins for 6 months? Right. So this is the toughest thing to talk about. It's out of everything. And you know, high still dead bodies everywhere, bloody south of Mars, you know, that. But this is the worst. I get emotional talking about this. But so I went to work in Butlins, and I couldn't pull my plonker at school. You know what I mean? I never got a girlfriend. I just thought you waved at them. I didn't know you had to fucking talk to them and that. So obviously I got fitter and more confident. All the staff were out one night, and this girl was coming up to me, grabbing my ass and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. So one thing to another, went back to mine, and we were laughing and joking because she had these long boots on. It took me 20 minutes to take them off because they were laced, and, you know, like that. We were laughing and joking about that. Anyway, you know, we did the business and that, and then she goes, right, I'm going to go and get changed. I'll meet you at the nightclub on the camp. So I said, yeah, great. I'll see you up there. Blah, blah. 2 hours later, 2 police came up, right? And they said, are you Ian Bailey? I said, yeah. I said, what? And I thought it was my stepdad, you know, really done my mum. I said, is my mum all right? My mum all right? He said, no, yeah, it's nothing to do with your mum. I said, what is it? I said, oh, this is a prank, innit? Like that. And all the friends were saying, we don't know. I said, come on. I looked out the window, there's a police car out there, and said, look, you need to come with us. I said, what? And said, you need to come with us. I took me in the police car and said, an allegation of rape. Right? You know, and I'm really, you know, even though I've done millions of things wrong, I'm moralistic about, you know, children and women, you know, bullying kids and what stuff. And it's, you know, when people say, you are joking, you know, but you can't help say that, you know what I mean? It's just a fucking wind-up. So anyway, they took me to the police station. I'm crying my eyes out by then. They stripped me naked, and my feet was on a paper bag, taking swabs and all that stuff, and right, and then 2 women police officers interviewed me and interrogated me, basically. I said, look, I'd never do that in a million years. I don't have to do that. I wouldn't, you know, this is absolutely ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. Everybody that knows me would know it'd never happen again. Never happen ever, right? And then she goes, oh, well, release me without charge pending further inquiries, right? So anyway, 2 weeks later, gets a letter from the police. She walked in the police station, told them that she had a boyfriend. She lied. She lied about it. She made it up. And I was like, I was walking around. I thought I had rapist over my forehead. I thought so I was even worse off the rails then, fighting even more. You know,
you know, I've seen that happen so many times. You know, the remote, you know, the woman has second thoughts and cries rape, and I've seen it happen. You know, and I've seen it destroy people as well. You know, I mean, back in the day, generally nothing happened to the woman. Nowadays, you know, they'll get charged with, you know, false accusation and stuff like that. But sometimes, you know, that stigma sticks, and it's hard to get rid of it.
I went to solicitors. I said, right, I want it done. I want it done now. You know, my head's in shit state because of it. The solicitor actually said, you know how lucky you are she did that? Because if she went to court and started crying, all that stuff, you'd have gone to prison. If she'd have gone, ooh, you did it, like that, they'd have believed her. I said, it's not the point, no. And yeah, I was a wreck after that. You know, it makes me emotional now just talking about it.
I can imagine.
Even, you know, you've been in other traumatic experiences, but that was the worst, to be accused of that, you know.
I can imagine. It's just, yeah. I mean, it's going to kill your confidence as well. You know, I mean, you've already mentioned that you had issues with your confidence anyway, and you're also now lashing out at people and creating anger, and that's going to make it worse and worse and worse.
Nobody at home believed it. Nobody. You know, all my friends at the time, they laughed at me, laughed it off type things. It was ridiculous. Yeah, because your picture's frozen. Sorry. Yeah, they all laughed it off.
That's right.
And you know, it was me. Just to be accused of that, you know, yeah, it didn't do me good. So I went on a roll from there. My life really went on a roller coaster of homelessness, gambling, stealing, fighting, violence. Yeah, it went good.
I mean, the homelessness. You know, I must admit, I'm lucky enough, touch wood, I've never experienced anything like that. That must be difficult. You know, I mean, how did you survive, basically?
Well, what I'd normally do, this is the pattern of behaviour that I had now. What I'd normally do is start from what I'd build myself up. I started being a personal trainer, I'd build myself up, being successful, money, friend, you know, and I did one way or another, I'd destroy it. I'd self-destruct, and I'd end up homeless, piss people off, had nowhere to live. I didn't sleep in doorways, where you can see, and I isolated myself. So one place in particular that I slept in the gap of a brick, and I woke up in the morning, there was all these rats, running around my. I had a sleeping bag, and I actually looked at it. I thought, this is what I deserve. You know what I mean? I deserve to be in this hole. So that's what I was in. I was in a hole. I slept in some really, really bad place. In the woods. Actually, indirectly, I wanted to try and have to survive. That when I was at rock bottom, absolute rock bottom, and I had absolutely nothing. I was, not eating. That's what I needed to try and get to there. Once I got to there, I couldn't handle it, because when it was easy, I just indirectly, one way or another, destroy it. But I didn't see it. I just thought I didn't know those reasons then that I was doing it. I just thought I was a dickhead, basically. And that happened probably up till I went to prison for fighting. I was fighting all the time. I was in court. I never said, because I didn't know it was a reason. But I never, I've been in the army. And them things happened to me. Child happened to me, all that stuff. I never knew they were the reason why I was behaving the way I was. So I never tried to. I just lifted my hands up and said, look, yeah, I did. And I was in court. This is quite a funny story, but it's not. I was in court again, and basically somebody punched me on a slide punch. So I went outside for it and put him in his arm. Right, he was 17 stone JCB driver, apparently, and I'm 2 foot nothing. I was 8, 9 stone, and we went to court. So I'm trying to make myself look even smaller, So they sent me on anger. They said, "This is your last chance. You're going on anger management." So I went to anger management, and I was the only veteran there. And even though like millions of mistakes, I don't like people doing horrible things to people, So they go around, and you have to say why you were there. And they came to me and said, "Well, somebody hit me, so I went outside and hit him." That was the truth. I went to this bloke. He says he wakes up in the morning. If there's not a can of beer next side of his bed, the missus is getting smacked. If he doesn't cook me dinner on time, she's getting smacked again. I thought, is he for fucking me? Right?
Yeah.
So they have a fag break. I've never smoked in my life. Drugs and smoking is never my thing. So I went outside and I tried to laugh it off. I said, fucking hell, mate, because what's it got to do? You little shit. I says, listen, mate, you're not really bragging about fucking beating a boy. He says, I'll fucking crack her anytime. I just dropped him. So I got kicked off anger management for fighting. Then I went to prison.
Yeah, but it was a deserved one, I suppose. How long did you get?
I did 6 months. I did 10 weeks.
So what was that like?
Hated every second of it. Hated it.
But you're not meant to like it, really, yeah. So
I hated it. I hated every.
The shock to the system.
Oh, I hated it. I couldn't. The hypervigilance will start kicking in. That paranoia, being aware of everything and all that stuff. I couldn't believe how people loved it in there. Somebody would walk past and say, fucking hell, mate, I ain't seen you for ages. I think you're in prison. But obviously, I've learned now that everybody's battling and they survive the best way they can. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, the fighting continued. I could tell you so many scenarios of some of the things did fighting. It's disgusting if I was to tell you. I don't know if you want to hear it. One incident.
You can mention whatever you want, mate. It's your story. It's whatever you feel comfortable talking about.
I'm an open book now. I'm an open book. So the gambling was really kicking off then as well. So anyway, I went out one night. I went out with this woman, all right, and I could have gone to the front to go in the nightclub, but I thought I'll wait in the queue. It doesn't look arrogant then if you walk, like the big I am. So there was a couple in front of us. There must have been about 20, 30 people in the queue. The couple in front of us, and the woman I'd met knew the woman that was in front of us, and they were arguing. And I says, look, leave it out, ladies. So the other woman's bloke, right, says, who are you fucking talking to? I thought, I'm not taking her out and then fighting. I said, look, mate, come on, let's just go up there, have a few beers, because do you fucking listen to a word I've said? I said, look, mate, I don't want any trouble, blah, blah. So they kept niggling. I said, let's go upstairs. He goes, you say another fucking word, I'm going to do you in. So I thought, right, I ain't arguing. Right. So I said, come on, we're going. We'll go somewhere else. So I turned my back from the queue. So my back's to him. I'm walking away. And he ran up and jumped me from behind. Right. We fell on the floor. And I was on top of him and I grabbed his ear. I sunk my teeth in his forehead. Spat his skin out, right? And then I smashed him. I just picked his head up and the blood was going, fucking told you, like bang, bang, bang. So anyway, she drags me in a taxi and the taxi has to go past the queue, right? And it goes round a roundabout and they're all going, you're fucking mental, Bailey. So I stopped the taxi and offered the queue out. And this is like this 2 foot guy from school, you know.
Yeah, you're definitely on self-destruct, aren't you?
And I took my top off. I said, I'll kill him. Fucking one of his. And he was on the floor and I ran over and volleyed him. You know, could have killed him.
Yeah.
He was in hospital. Apparently worked my stepdad. He was in hospital 3 weeks. But, you know, fortunately nothing happened. Just shaking thinking about it. You know, it's just horrible. But anyway, so the fighting continued and the gambling got worse and worse and worse. You know, I manipulate. Yeah.
So what was the gambling? Were you betting on horses? Were you...
No, it's slot. It was slots.
Right.
It was slots. So it wasn't online then. So, you know, slot machines. Yeah, the machines in the bookies, the roulette wheel. So it was them.
Yeah.
So I was still, you know, I was doing PT and I was working loads of gym, and I'd get my money. I'd do a session, PT session, run straight to the bookies. I'd run there, gamble it, lose it, run back, do another session, and that's what I'd be doing. You know, I'd never have any money. You know, come out crap to get people to lend me money. I'd manipulate my mum to give me money. I'd lie, I'd stole from work. You know, so it's just like, it wasn't the alcohol, it was in gambling. And I think the pinnacle of it, in 2014, I put, and, you know, all through my life, even though I've been a complete arsehole, I've bent over backwards to help other people. You know, I've done London Marathon 3 times, charity, they got their money. I ran 100 miles once for a hospice, raised £1,000, they got their money. But I put a boxing show on the premise of splitting it between 4 local charities. And I meant well, and that's what I wanted to do. If people sat and looked at it, there's a lot of fucking organisation for somebody just to rip off money, you know. And so I paid for the show. The show was paid for by ticket, so I sold some like 230 tickets, 240 tickets, and the show went on. Paid for the ring, paid for everything, paid for the away fighters. That was nearly £3,000. So whatever was left was supposed to split, and I gambled. So no, then everybody hated me. Then everybody turned their back on me. You know, scumbag. And I get it. You know what I mean? I deserved
Yeah.
it. But you know what? Nobody ever asked why, you know, why has it gone from that to this? And I didn't even ask. And so I tried to hang myself, you know, because I'd lost their family, turned their back on me, friends. I was also trying to hang myself. And how I tried to do it, I went to a woods and only had a scarf. And it actually wasn't long enough for me to do it. So I went all the way back. This was at 1 o'clock in the morning. Looked for something I could do. Got this caravan cable. And I thought to myself, I can't be asked walking all the way to the woods again. So there was a church. And I had a sensor light. So every time I took a step, it went boom. Fucking hell. So eventually I got up the tree, threw the noose over, and fucking put my neck in it. And this couple walked past. And that triggered the light. And they saw me. You know, and then fucking ran over, grabbed me, rang the police and that. I was in hospital 3 weeks. Doctor said to me, you know, what's made you do this and blah, blah. And they said, are you a veteran? And I said, yeah, but that's not. You know. So anyway, I spoke to loads of people and they asked me about my life, you know, and they said, the reason you behave in the way you are, self-destruct, you don't like it when it's easy and comfortable and you're doing well, you don't like it, you don't think you deserve it, so you self-destruct. And all them trauma you haven't dealt with, they're in the back of your mind, they're triggering everything, my behaviour. But I wouldn't accept it because I didn't think it deserved an explanation for my behaviour. I paid the money, but I went to prison for it. They paid £3,500 before I went away. I basically ran away, and I worked hard and saved the money and went back, and then gave them the money. But they'd already been at the police by then, and went to prison for it. I did 10 weeks in total. So I
mean, was that the start of your therapy journey, or did it not?
Yeah,
kick in then?
It didn't kick in then, but I started thinking that even though past incidents and things that happened in life, I never thought about it, ever. But that was affecting my behaviour indirectly. But then when they were pointed it out to me, I never stopped thinking about it now. But I try. Well, I have done a lot since. But going back to when I got to prison in 2015, the day I came out of prison, even though I'd lost everything. I mean, I couldn't walk down the street without somebody knowing, and everybody turned their back on me. Everybody. There's only my mum. Only my mum really that didn't turn her back on me. All my best mates, everybody that I knew, nobody wanted to know me. They, they just slagged me off. Like, right, so I did a horrible thing. I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my intention. I didn't set out to do all that hard work. And I meant well. But so the day I got
the addiction to Roma,
and mental health as well. Yeah. But 2015, when I went to prison, the day I come out of prison, I gambled. Okay, went straight to the nearest bookies and gambled, even though that gambling, everything had ruined my life, but gambling was the pinnacle of it. I went and gambled, right? And then I said to myself, do you know what? You don't deserve that. You're the worst of society. You're the pits, ever like. I thought, that's it. That's what I deserve. So my life will be a battle for the rest of my life. It would have been a battle anyway. So I've accepted it. That's how it's going to be.
No one should feel that way, And it's hard for me to sit here it's easy for me to sit here and say no one should feel that way because I've never felt that way. I can't. I've come close to being depressed, in my life as things have happened as well. But when you're saying you've got these, you try to commit suicide once or for the first time, that when your mind's like that, it's hard to get away or get the pressure off yourself as well, especially if you're feeling it all the time.
Yeah.
Is that how you're seeing it for yourself as well as just constant pressure on yourself?
I don't like looking at myself. People say the past is the past, and but when the past is dictating your behaviour, you can't leave the past behind. You know what I mean? If the past led you to another path, another route in life, then you can't just brush it off. And I didn't think I deserved to do that. I constantly think I deserve that everybody turned their back on me. I deserve, I know people, but I don't have friends, if you know what I mean. I don't trust people enough now because obviously I know it's my fault. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, 2015, I came out of prison, gambled, and that was, I was gambling. Then it started doing online gambling. And when you gamble,
it was even easier for you, yeah.
But when you're gambling, you don't think rationally. You think it's actually not about the money, believe it or not. You think it is. It's not. It's about the moment that you press the button and the moment you get the win. That's what you're looking for. That hit.
So it's after you're chasing the dopamine hits.
Yeah,
and that's what essentially that's what addiction is, really. Yeah.
I put £400 on red and £200 on black, and zero come out. Now you don't. No. So I'm gambling £660 to win 140. That's not logical, is it? But you do that because you're looking for that punch, that hit type thing, yeah. And so online was the next thing. So I was doing the bookies and online. But I've been to combat stress, right? And they diagnosed me PTSD. They said, they went through everything. I went through everything with them, told them everything. And they said, and I was supposed to go 6-week treatment and then have the funding and in air. But so I didn't really address. I thought it was impossible to get rid of the gambling. I thought it was impossible. I thought this is a disease I deserve. I deserve the battle every day. Yeah. So this went on. Carried on again. I moved. I'm living in Liverpool by then. I'm in a flat. I'm in a ground floor flat, and because PTSD, all that stuff. So I never opened the curtains. In 10 years, I opened the curtains probably 12 times. So in a ground floor, I couldn't have the thought of somebody looking in the window. So that's escalated now. PTSD. Even though it was there anyway. Now the traits are coming in. Hypervigilance, walking down the road, paranoia, thinking somebody's going to attack you from behind. You think a car's going to blow up. Your intrusive thoughts as well. You thought you were possessed. You thought you were like evil because the intrusive thoughts you were thinking. You think oh my God, you must be the only person in the world who thinks like this, but you must be really bad. So I went to doctors and they got me a CBT therapist. Now we're military. We're all about punctuality. And he turned up at my flat an hour late. He goes, "Oh, I'm really sorry I'm late." He didn't text me, say, look, I'm stuck in traffic. I'm on my way. You know, I'm really sorry. I thought it was how ignorant, especially how our mindset is about, you know, being on time. If you're not on time, you let somebody know. So it takes 10 seconds to send a text message. I said, turn around and fuck off, right? I thought it was ignorant. NHS wouldn't give me another. I said, look, he turned up an hour late. He didn't even let me know, you know, but they wouldn't do it. So I didn't have any therapy again. So I carried on with this, you know, the gambling, surviving. I'm a survival now. When I was struggling, I'd pack my bag and just go in the woods with nothing, no food, you know, basic materials just to survive. And it was like, I was better off in my flat, but I wanted to be in worse condition, if you know what I mean. It's really, you want to put yourself in shit because you feel that bad about it indirectly, you know. And so
Yeah, I mean, you punish yourself again and again and again.
self deprivation.
Yeah.
So anyway, 2020, I was working there. Do you remember the Legion had 4 hotels? For Poppy Bread. Yeah, so they had one in Southport, Western Supermare, Bridlington, I think, was the other one, and one in Ireland. Anyway, the Legion decided they didn't have enough money, and they were luxury hotels. I don't know if you've ever been to.
No, I didn't. To be honest, I didn't even know they had one.
Yeah, they had 4 hotels, and they were 36-bed hotel, luxury, mirrors 20 grand, they had a bar, cinema room, pool table, every room was en suite, chandeliers a lot. This one in Southport was, and I was working for Rifles Security Solution, so they asked me to stag on there. Right? It was COVID, to make sure nobody broke in. So it was me and another lad. So we had the whole place to ourselves. So I went online, you know, dating app, and I saw this bird on there. I thought, fucking hell, she's all right. Way out of my league, you know what I mean? Straight away. So I messaged her. I said, look, you look great. Good luck on here. Because I'd go on for a day and then get bored. Good luck on here.
Yeah.
I'm coming off. She goes, I'm coming off as well. So we swapped numbers. I didn't. Trust was really bad for me. You know, we met up. We had a great time. She cooked steak for me. And I didn't even eat it. You know, she still throws that at me. But I thought, wow, she looked great. Told her the truth from day one. I said, look, I've got PTSD. I've been to prison. Gambled. Told her about the boxing show. Totally up front. It's what people were doing from my town. Were messaging her saying, "Oh, do you know he did this, did that?" But I'd already told her, so they couldn't.
Yeah.
You know, they thought they were like trying to ruin my life. But I didn't tell her how bad the gambling was. You know, I says, "Oh, you know, I was really bad. I was really bad with it." But I didn't say I was an addict. You know, it controls my life. So I started involving her with it. I started saying, "Oh, let's have a tenner each on fishing friend." You know, making it our thing, but it wasn't. It was my excuse to gamble. And she's too wide. She'd do a 5 and that's it. You know. So
was she picking up on it then, or
sorry,
was she picking up on your addiction then? Or?
I think she was. She picked up. It was worse than I'd made out it was. Yeah, well, she did pick up on it. But I was still battling. Mental health battling. PTSD is battling. Gambling and battling. I'm surviving every day. That's my life. Survive, not live. And then I said I couldn't take it anymore. So I looked on the train timetable. I knew this. Looked at the train timetable. I looked what time that train would be coming down that way. I knew it'd be going too fast to stop if I walked out 30 seconds before. So that's what I did. I went on the railway track, stood there waiting for the train. The fucking train was delayed.
Thankfully.
I know, but I laugh about it now. You can picture it. I'm stood on the track. Fuck's this train? I fucking know that train is due. You know, I'm like pacing myself up and down this track. You know, and then obviously the police came. I was in hospital again for a week. So I couldn't live with it. I was sort of living with her then, so I couldn't live with her after that. So I'm back in my flat. You know, I'd bust a gut to make her happy, even though I had nothing. I'd buy her flowers or get her a car. I try to be a good partner. And 2000 and so we were together all this time. In 2025, you know, I'd always thought, how could I stop gambling? I wish somebody gave me a tablet. I wish there was an injection, hypnotherapy. You know, and I said to myself, you know, you can't live like this. You know, I'm fucking getting old. I'm 60 in July, right? And so Source Speak and Trust, right? And I don't know if you ever heard of the base.
No, do you want to explain who they are?
They're in Liverpool and they deal with gambling in the military. So Source sourced them, and then I said, look, you know, blah blah, I want to stop gambling. They told me about this rehab in Birmingham called the Gordon Moody Rehab for Gambling. So I'd sourced this out. I hadn't told the other half until about a week before, and I said, look, I'm going to go into rehab. I'd never ever said to anybody, that's it, I'm never going to gamble again. I've never told anybody I'm going to stop gambling. And I said to the other half, I said, look, I'm going to go into rehab. She goes, really? I said, yeah. And she said to me, she goes, do you know what? I said, what? She goes, you treat me amazingly. You buy me things, you take me places. And not a lot of it would be gambling related. I'd have to get I'd have to get the money to do it. But she said, you treat me well, you're really good to me, you take me places, you treat me. She says, but Monday to Friday, I know you've got no food because you don't look after yourself. So I wasn't eating. I didn't look after myself. Just before I went to rehab, Healthier Heroes, have you heard? Yeah, Andy Powell. So he's looking for volunteers for the Morecambe Hub, right? And I said to him, look, I'm going into rehab in March 26th, it was last year. And he says, don't worry, your spot's here when you come back. So I went into rehab March 26th and I haven't gambled since.
So what was rehab? How did they help you with that? Did they get you to teach things?
When I was there 2 weeks, I rang my mum up and said to my mum, I'm never gambling again. And she started crying. And it was like a weight off her shoulder, not mine. And I thought to myself, you know what? I know what I've put everybody through. I know what I've done. People that are close to you don't really realise what, you know, the shame and everything I've brought them. So it's March 26th is nearly 16 months.
I mean, what actually happened in rehab then? What made you?
Well, you had to
come to the decision.
You addressed your trauma. You triggered. So if things went wrong for me, that'd be an excuse to gamble. You know, yeah. That's my way out. Rather than, but I think what made me stop most is making the promise. I'd never promised anybody. I'd never said to anybody, look, that's it, I'm not gambling no more. I'd never said that. But I made a promise. You know, obviously listen to other people, you know, that were gamblers, listen to their story. And then I sat back, I thought about everything that I'd gone through in life. You know.
So, what was saying you've been, you know, gamble free for 16 months.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though you've conquered it now?
It's a tough question because it's always there. You always get temptations. It crosses my mind. The more you tell your brain no, the less the thoughts come in your head. You know, I'm a lot happier than I've ever been. My missus says I'm a different bloke. Healthy Heroes have employed me now. You know, I support. What helps me now is helping other people.
Yeah.
That's my medicine. Andy's told me off because I go out above and beyond when I shouldn't. You know, but I love what I'm doing now. I'm supporting veterans every day with addictions, housing, employment, mental health. And I've been working with them since March. That's another 16 months. I've been employed since December. Also, you know, my partner says the difference in me is like chalk and cheese.
I mean, it's you're right. What you know, I kind of give that as a leading question, saying that you were, you know, do you feel as though you've conquered it? And you answered it, you know, with what I expected really, which was that once you're an addict,
yeah, it's always going to be.
It never fully leaves you. It's always going to be there, but it's all about learning control of it now. Yeah. I mean, from listening to the way you talk about yourself, you know, and I'm not a therapist or anything, by God, no way. It still sounds as though you still need to love yourself a bit more.
Yeah, Mrs. says that. I don't.
You still find that difficult.
Yeah, like I got 2 awards last year for the work that I've been doing. I've been to Wheaton Barracks. I've talked to troops about gambling. I've done talks and all that stuff, and I still don't like myself. You know, I still hate myself, and I can't. I just don't think I deserve to. You know, people say, "Do you know what you've done? Do you know the amount of people you helped? Do you know this and that?" But you know, I can't let go of all the stuff that I've done in the past. You know, I know. Yeah, people say, "Look, it's a new part of your life now," and you know, you've paid your dues, and yeah.
But in reality, you have to, and you're going to have to do that.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to come to terms with yourself. And I know it's easy, someone like me just sat here, or other people saying it to you, that you know, you've got to feel it yourself, but you can't change the past.
I know.
So, you know, depression is the worrying about the past, and anxiety is worrying about the future. But you can't change what's happened, you know. And all them people, you know, back in the back in the day, they don't think about you. They're not thinking about you at all. So they're not waking up in the morning thinking about how nasty he was, or he took my money, or whatever, or he thumped me. They don't care. They don't worry about that. So you're not making a difference to them anymore.
Yeah.
The only person you hurt is yourself, type of thing. So you've got to be able to come to terms with that. And again, I know it sounds easy just saying walk away from it, cut it off. And I definitely suffer from stuff like that where, I think if I'd changed this or I'd done that, my life would have been different. The outcome would have been different in certain aspects and stuff. But in the end, I can't control what happened in the past. So I've got to look to the future. I've got to try and just, accept. And it is hard. I know it is hard. And I'm not sat here giving you advice because I'm not here for that. It's just if anybody else is listening who's feeling the same thing, and they're probably thinking the same thing that I'm saying. I mean, are you still getting therapy?
No, I'm not. I'm dealing with myself. I know I should. I know probably it's wise I do. I think my work is my that's what I said. Like, the job I'm doing now helps me massively. You know what I mean? Helping other people is massive for me. I know indirectly it deflects where I am mentally. It deflects it away. I know that it's working for me. So if it works,
it's little steps. And I mean, fucking hell. I've got a mate who's in the last couple of years he had a bad time, and I said, look, saying to him, you've got to stop looking back at the door. You've got to be able to walk through that door and shut it behind you, and not reopen it and go back in, have a look at what was there.
Yeah.
And he's kind of done that now, and he's come out the other side of it, and he's a changed person. He's allowed himself to not, he knows what's on the other side of the door, but it's closed now.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need to open it and have another look. He can move forward that way. And that's just like a weird analogy that I've got. But I would imagine with the work that you're doing, and coming on to stuff like this and talking about it, raising awareness to the other guys out there. Gambling is a big thing in the military.
Yeah.
And it's one of them things that isn't spoke about really. And I've been doing research into other things, and the charities that look after gambling and stuff, and it's an addiction. It's just an addiction. There's alcohol, there's drugs.
Yeah.
It's breaking that cycle, isn't it?
The worst thing about gambling, it's glorified. You know what I mean? And it's glorified on telly. Everybody's laughing and joking when they're spinning the roulette wheel and all that stuff. The worst thing about it is the targeting people and the targeting vulnerable people. So there's more. When I was living in Liverpool, I was on Walton Road, and I'll count. There was something like 23 bookies within a 2-mile radius. And a road, 2-mile road, 23. And Walton Road's not the most affluent. The target. The thing with gambling as well, you can hide it. You can hide that addiction. You walk down the street, somebody's on drugs, 9 times out of 10 you can tell they're taking drugs, or they're an alcoholic. You can tell somebody's got a drink problem. But with the gambling, you can't tell. It's a silent addiction, basically. And the worst things now are these machines in bookies and pubs, because they're making, when you had slot machines putting the pound coins in, it was just the reel spinning, that's it. But now they put all these characters, and they're making it like the games. Yeah. They do all these little gimmicks and that, and they're not playing the money, they're playing the game, they're playing the features. There's pensioners that have never gambled in their life, they're addicted to them. So they've got these fun little things that happen and all that stuff. I want.
So there needs to be more control over them.
Yeah,
really.
Definitely.
I mean, what would you suggest for that? Should we ban them? Should there be more? I mean, they're regulated to help.
Well,
they really are. Supposedly.
They cut the £2 a spin on the roulette. Cause before you could spend £100, but you could spend £100 in 3 or 4 minutes on that spin. I was watching the roulette thing on Channel 5, and I just noticed something. Right, it's a live roulette, and they spun that 3 times in a minute, a live one. 3 times in a minute they were spinning it. That was a live roulette wheel. It wasn't even like a computerized. And yeah. I think there should be. I thought about it the other day. How could you? I think you should have a card to go in the bookies, and if you want to play the game, you want to play the machine, you can only use a card, and there can only be so much on it in a week. Once you've used that card, that's it. You can't. And say they register in the bookies, and once they've gone in that bookies that day, that the cards checked, and that's how much they've got left, and then that's how they play the machine. Once they've run out of that money, that's it. But I don't know how technology-wise you could do it. Something like that. Like, young people are hammering these machines on the online.
Thankfully, I've never been into gambling, roulette, one-arm band. I mean, I used to dabble with them when I was younger, and I'd throw a lot of money into them as well. And it was just like one day I just went, I'm just giving this box money. I'd rather drink that money, to be honest. So I just stopped. I just stopped doing it, and I won't, because I did. You do find it. Yeah, you're right. What you said earlier. It's not just that, it's not about winning. It's about just getting that dopamine.
Yes.
Really. I used to watch it on camp. In the NAFA, you'd see guys come in. And they weren't even buying a drink. They were just going straight to the band and throw 100 quid in it, and then leave. And you're like, you just give 100 quid away, and then he'd come back in the next night and he'd throw 20 quid in and win the jackpot, and he'd be like, oh, I've won my money back. You fucking haven't, have you? It's a no-win situation in the end.
Yeah.
Unless I don't know anyone who can make a living, let's say, off gambling.
Well,
right.
They never lose money. These bookies, they never lose. There's not a year that they've said, "Oh, they've lost this amount of money." They haven't. They never lose money. So there's obviously a reason why they don't lose money, is because the machines are rigged. They're rigged to take money. They're not rigged to you'll get your win every now and then. The only you put a tenner and win £20 and walk off. That's the only way you can do it. I mean, I tried to get into colleges and talk to students, right? And I tried to do it, and I was still gambling at the time. And I said, look, can I come in and talk to students about gambling and the risks? They actually wouldn't let me do it because I was still gambling. I said, look, it's not always a happy end,
Yeah.
I was a real life, and I said, why should it be a happy ending? No, I'm not gambling anymore. I was still gambling. So why? I thought to myself, how narrow-minded it was. Oh, well, come back when you're not gambling anymore. I thought, what? What's the difference? It's real life, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like saying, look at what you could have won, type of thing.
Yeah. I thought,
if you don't, you're going to like me.
I was evidence.
That was a bad analogy.
Yeah, I was evidence of I can't get rid of it, because that's just what gambling does. I'm still gambling now. I can't. I'm not, obviously not now, but I was there. I said, look, but they wouldn't have it. It's really hard to get in colleges and that, to trying to talk about addiction. It's really hard. But that's
sorry, go on.
That's where I'm going now. I did a talk in Liverpool. That was the first talk I did. I did Wheaton Barracks. That was to about 300 soldiers.
How was that received? Do you think it's sunk in with them?
See, the thing about it is, it probably would. The guys are hiding. You know what I mean? They won't. They're scared to open up and be honest about it. The best thing I ever did was to tell the truth and be open and honest. That's a massive thing for me. I think once you just open and honest with people, you're not pretend to be something you're not.
So, you're talking about it as well. And the thing we bang on a lot on this podcast is about getting people to talk and open up and talk to the loved ones about their issues. There's too many people, especially as veterans, that we're that used to holding it in and not talking to people because that's the way we were. It's nice and it's refreshing that people have started talking, and when you are talking, you're releasing that, releasing the pressure off yourself.
Yeah.
You've got, saying it bluntly, you've got a lot of work to do on yourself. And again, I'm not a therapist, but even I can say that. And I shouldn't be saying that. I'm not giving you advice. You know what I mean? It's
it's all right.
I think. What are your plans for the future then? Are you going to try and go back into therapy? Try CBT or something?
I'm not sure really, because I'm in such a good place now. I don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because everything I'm doing now is working, so I don't want to risk, rock the boat basically. So I say it to everybody: if you've got something that works and makes you, it makes your life better and happier, then stay with it. If you try and, I won't mention names, but somebody I know that he's somebody I deal with. He's an alcoholic. He goes to meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and he's still drinking. And I've said to him, I said, what you do? I think he's basically trying to occupy his day 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I said, what you're doing, you're putting pressure on yourself said you just need to find a way to accept that sometimes you can have nothing to do. And I think you going to all these hundreds of meetings, you're not getting anything out of it because you're still drinking. So maybe stop putting that pressure on yourself. Yeah, I think he's trying to put a front on that. Everything's all right instead of being open and honest. And he's been, I think he's 10 days now off the drink again. So hopefully, but you have to find what works for you.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, you're in a better place now, and you're starting to feel happy. Maybe is this what your current situation, working with Healthy Heroes and helping other people? That is your therapy.
Yeah.
And the longer that goes on, maybe the easier things will be for you.
Well, I didn't. To be honest, when Healthy Heroes were looking for a volunteer, I didn't think take me because obviously my past, and I was open, honest about it. Still didn't think. I thought basically people wanted to spoil my. Still people from the past trying to ruin whatever I do. Message people saying, "Oh, do you know he did this? Do you know he did that? Do you know he did that? Do you know he did this?" So for them to have faith in me and see that that I can do good.
Yeah, they obviously seen something in you, otherwise they wouldn't have took one. And it's like the poacher, isn't it? Really, you got to who better to teach someone, who better to help someone, advise than someone who's already been through it themselves.
So that was a massive.
That's the best way of doing it.
Yeah, that was a massive thing for them to say in December that they wanted to employ me properly. Sort of said a lot what I'd done in the past 9 months work wise. If I commit myself to something, I give it 150%. I don't, I'm not going to mess about. I'm going to crack on with it.
Yeah.
So when I was PT,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
When I was PT,
it's like
from the domestic.
Yeah. It's the link between. It's just like a half-second gap. Yeah. So I keep jumping in when you're talking. Sorry.
So when I was PTing, I set out to be the best PT. Anywhere I worked, I set out to be the best. I've got a really bad hip injury. I did the Great North Run 2 years ago. If somebody says there's no way you can do it, puts a challenge in front of me, I won't stop until I've done it. So if I commit to something, I give it 110%. I don't mess about. I go full on. So it was nice to be recognised when they employ permanent.
So if you could give advice to anyone before we go, what would you give?
In what respect? Addiction.
Just with addiction, well, with it all really. I mean, you've got the whole gambit of it. So I mean, if somebody's listening to this and thinking, we've touched on the gambling side and the PTSD side and stuff like that. And my advice to everyone is to talk, not to reach out. I think that was probably a bad question for me to ask because we've already answered it really in the last 10 minutes. Really,
but do you know? Everybody battles life in one way or another. Everybody does. Yeah. Right? You can walk down the road and see somebody have the best clothes, best jewellery, the best makeup, best car, best house. They'll still have a battle. So most of the best advice I think is that anybody's struggling with anything, mental health, be it addiction, mental health, PTSD, confidence, well-being, health, anything like that, anything at all. Talk to somebody, be honest, open. That even just being open and honest with somebody helps. Honestly, I can't put it into words. It's just like a relief. It's not a weakness to struggle. Definitely not. And it's more strength in being open and honest than
than trying to hold it all in.
Yeah, and trying to hold it in. You're not. See, the problem is most of us are built this. We hold it all in because we think we're doing everybody a favour. And when I tried to commit suicide twice, I thought I was doing everybody a favour. I didn't think I deserved to be in this world. I thought I was better off out of it. But just talk to somebody.
Thankfully, the 2 attempts that you had, you failed.
Yeah.
And which is, and it's led you on to be a more, let's say, fruitful member of society. So that's the good side of it. And you do sound as though you're in a lot better place than you were.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I've always had.
Ian,
Sorry, I was going to make a cracker joke about my bloody bald head. I was going to say I've always been bald, so I ain't lost my hair in the past 5 years.
Hey, we're all the same at a certain age. I think I'll blame it the berries we want. Yeah. Well, we're going to come to the end of the podcast there now. Thanks for coming on. Sorry about the communication troubles we've had as well.
Yeah.
The gaps. We'll sort that out in the post edit though. again, thanks for coming on and thanks for sharing your story. I wish you all the best of luck. And, I think you'll get there. It sounds as though you already are. You just need a little bit more, and you'll get it.
It's always we're all traveling on that road, aren't we? And so you just keep taking it day by day.
Right, thanks for coming on, Ian. I'm going to stop recording now. Again, thanks. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope other people who listen to this get something out of it as well.
Yeah, can I just speak to you offline when hang up?
Yeah.